Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this latest episode ng Deep Dive. Just to get this clear, this episode is made in partnership with Friedrich Ebert Stiftung Philippines. It's part of this mini-series I was hoping to make sabay-sabay pero hindi ko sila masabay with a couple of progressive intellectuals and experts about post-mortem about elections and what is next for the Philippines. Kaya kasama lang natin today, wala lang yan. Just another guy, just another guest, Dr. Lisandro Claudia. Thank you very much, Leloy, for joining us.
Magandang umaga, Richard.
Kaya
Meron pa
nga
tayong mga
sinabi ko
dinidelay sa
partner
Senado
natin.
ngayon. Dumiretso na, no?
Good morning, good
Ah,
morning, good morning.
magandang umaga at marami pa. Dinidelay ko lang yung usapan kasi uso sa atin ngayon ang pagdidelay, ang pagdidribble.
Let's talk about dribble before we talk about ano tawag dyan? Yung sa
Kung
eyebrow.
hindi, kung hindi nyo alam kung sino yung ginagaya ko, baka nag-fail ako. Pero sa tingin ko, alam nyo naman kung sino.
I think. By the way, good morning, bro. Good morning. Good
Good morning,
morning.
bro.
Speaking of good morning, you want to start with postmortem before we go to your favorite senador, fashionista slash I don't know, Conazur.
Basketball,
Exactly,
basketball play,
dribble
basketball
man, the
player.
dribble man. Bago natin pag-usapan si dribble man, dito muna tayo kay Ben Tulfo. Like, bro, what happened? Sumabla yung mga Tulfos, bro. What is your read? Sumobra na yung Tulfo hype natin.
Pero bro, matagal ko na sinasabi to, 'di ba? Kasi among elite circles, lagi nila sinasabi si Tulfo, 'di ba? Kasi hindi nila actually alam kung sino yung Tulfo. In fact, when you talk to a boomer, when they refer to Tulfo, they're thinking Mon Tulfo. Kasi yun yung Tulfo na naaalala na nung ano pa nung uso pa yung ano gossip column kasi si Mon not really gossip, but like semi-gossip, semi-political column. What people don't realize nga is iba-iba ang mga tulfo and yung masa can distinguish among tulfos. So, linawin lang natin, yung kuya Simon, wala na yun, laos na yun Simon. Even if boomers think na Simon pa rin ang tulfo. And then yung T3, sila yung sumikat through TV5, si Rafi, si Erwin, at saka si Ben. But all of them had their own TV5 shows. So si Ben, si Bitag, and then I think Erwin was mostly a newscaster sa TV5. And then si Rafi, of course, had not just a TV5 show, but yung Radyo 5 show, which before actually was on government TV, kaso natanggal siya kasi nagpag-away siya kay Mike Arroyo, yung Wanted sa radyo. And among those shows, yung Wanted sa radyo, yun talaga yung pinaka-importante at yun talaga yung tumatak. So, Bitag was always like a bit of a sideshow compared to all those shows. So ako, I'm not gonna say na I expected this to happen. I expected Ben to still win. So hindi naman sinasabi kong tama ako all the way. Pero if we were to provide a kind of retrospective analysis kung bakit malakas yung dalawang Tulfo and mahina yung isang Tulfo, I think it's just reflective of the fact na mas mababa talaga yung following ni Ben compared to Erwin. And definitely compared to the main man, yung idol talaga si Rafi Tulfo.
The hype is not gonna go away. Like, Ben not making it kasi what's her name? Amy Marcos was able to make it by the teeth of her skin,
Mm.
easing out Ben. So medyo masaklap kay Ben kasi number 13 siya. And he was seen as relatively safe in almost a lot of pre-election surveys. So my genuine apologies dun sa mga staff niya and people niya if after watching our shows and episodes, nagkaroon sila ng perhaps undue confidence. But to be clear also about this, independent din kasi si Ben. So walang makinarya na sumuporta sa kanya,
Oo.
right? But nevertheless, Erwin, top five, but not number one, not number two, not even number three, right? Number
Mm.
four, not very impressive, and just over someone that many thought would not even make it. And I'm talking about, of course, Kiko Pangilinan. So we'll talk more about that side of the equation, the surprise or pleasant surprise nung 2025 elections. But I just felt it's important na pag-usapan natin si Ben Tulfo and Rafi Tulfo. And you're right. Actually, sa generation natin, verb na ang Tulfo. Ipatulfo na kita, di ba?
Diba, Tulfo? Oo.
Wala nang differentiation. It's just a verb. Like, gusto mo
Mm.
itulfo si
Pero
Ben.
naalala ko dati, pero yung ano, meron talaga and I think it's a bit of an elite phenomenon not to be able to distinguish Tulfo. Naalala ko sorry na lang Ronald si Ronald, ano, pinagsabihan niya ni Mark Gamboa dati. Kasi si Ronald, nung tinanong siya, bakit daw influential si Rafi Tulfo? Dahil daw sa isumbong mo kay Tulfo phenomenon. Tama naman yung sabi ni Mark Gamboa, which Ronald, si Erwin, si ano yon, si Mon Tulfo yon, at panahon ng Kopong pa yung isumbong mo kay Tulfo. Wanted sa radyo yung kay Rafi, di ba? So kahit ang ano, kahit the venerable Ronald Llamas na napaka-plugged in sa political scene, ay nahirapan pa rin mag-distinguish among the Tulfos.
Yan ang problema kay Sir Ronald kasi napaka-confident niya. Wala siyang caveats all the time. We had to redo a whole episode kasi 100% confident. Hindi uwi si Digong from Hong Kong. I said, how can you say that? It's his whole brand to be like be defiant and like, ayan tuloy, umuwi. Sabi ko,
Hindi, yun, hindi. Ano na yan, part na yan ng Ronald Llamas
I know.
brand.
Yeah, it comes with
It
talagang
comes with the
tunay na
territory.
lalaki ang hindi magka-caveat. As in, yun na yun. Yun na yun. um, Obviously want to talk about the more the long-term prospects etc for the progressive movement pero yung initial scanning mo as a historian 1992 and 2007 were the last time we saw something like this, right? Na sobrang nag-underperform yung administration. What is your read of, yun nga, I don't even know how to count, five or six, like Camille Villar. Ano bang position ni Camille Villar? It's like, depende ba yan sa ano, gusto ng, ano? Like, what is your read of this in terms of historical parallels, if any?
Ay, actually medyo nagulat din ako, Richard, kasi from Noy Noy onwards, 'di ba? Naging uso na term yung term na signaling power of the president. I know Ronnie Holmes really used this term, and it seemed as if from Noy Noy to Duterte napakalakas ng signaling power na 'yon. Especially since people thought anomalous si GMA kasi sobrang corrupt ng perception sa kanya, 'di ba? Also, babae siya,
Misogyny. Yeah,
unfortunately, na
absolutely.
may misogyny. So akala nila exceptional yung mga midterm fails ni GMA, and from now on we would move on to a kind of powerful president with huge signaling power. And apparently hindi pala nangyari. And yung mga postmortem dito na narinig ko is I was talking to a friend, he said meron lang tayong bahagi ng electorate which as whatever now millennials na hindi na tayo sobrang bata na hindi na talaga natin naiintindihan, and that is whatever like TikTok or various other forms of social media na hindi na natin nakikita, that's really opaque to us, and we are going to be unearthing various levels of opacity as we move on. And that's all I can say in terms of like in all humility kasi I mean I didn't see it coming either. And I just assumed that the president had huge signaling power. So we may be moving in another direction. Although, the other thing is maybe in 6 years we go like, ito yung anomalous election, bumalik na yung signaling power ng presidente. It is also possible that it has something to do with this president na ang hina ng kanyang retorika na may pagka wishy-washy siya, right? One wonders ano kaya nangyari if he had just gone like super strong and said like anti-Duterte tayo, anti-EJK, and then throughout the entire campaign yung nakapronta yung mga biktima ng EJK. One wonders, like, I
Well,
don't
he
know.
tried, right? The Lawag one, when he commenced the campaign, he went on the offensive. I think that was a very good speech. He had also that moment last year when he responded very strongly to Sara Duterte's direct threat, not only to him, but his family and his cousin. May mga ano siya, pero in the end, parang flash in the pan yung nangyari and walang follow through, or at least walang follow through yung kanyang mga candidates. But I would say the president was also undermined by really having a problematic composition. I mean, look at the quality and the ideological vacuity, if I can put it, of yung mga alyansa members. Kasi tingnan mo, when BBM went on the offensive doon sa Lawag switch na in February, sabi niya, wala kaming supporters ng EJK. Tapos biglang, wait, di ba itong senator na itong sinabi na paano ni Digong, di ba itong senator na, wala kaming
Mm.
tuta ng China, ganyan, West Philippines. Wait, di ba itong mga senator walang sinabi? Do you get what I'm saying? There
Mm.
was really always a credibility gap, not only with BBM himself, because he was part of Uniteam, But practically his entire, team were very problematic figures with few exceptions here and there. At least Lacson could say he was tough on West Philippine Sea and China, right?
Oh,
Eh,
oh,
mga
oh.
ganun. Pero ano mahina. The only guy who attended consistently yung sorties ni BBM kasi iniwasan pa nga siya ng ibang candidates kasi unpopular daw, lalo kung Mindanao or certain regions na malakas yung Duterte support, parang iniwasan pa nga siya ng mga senators. The only one who attended all of his sorties regularly, at least compared to the others, was Pacquiao, who was like, I think underperformance is an understatement. Were you
Grabe,
surprised
no?
also, bro, how many big celebrities lost in this race? Willie Revilla may got even fewer votes than, although that's a reflection of strength of Heidi Mendoza, someone we have to talk about more. What's his name? I almost said Buduts, pero baka makasuhan na tayo. Si Bong Revilla did not make it far, far from the Magic 12. Pacquiao was way out of the Magic 12 circle. I mean, were you also surprised by how badly some of these big celebrities perform, not only in defiance of service, but also in defiance of history or patterns?
Yeah, and I know people hate this yung ano, parang you use your conversation with a taxi driver as an indicator for changes. Pero But it's very interesting now as a kind of overseas Filipino. Uuwi ako. So the first conversation I have about the country is really with my taxi driver kasi babagsak akong airport. Kuha ako ng by the way, okay pa rin ang coupon taxis ng airport ngayon. Good value for money pa rin. So I line up sa coupon taxi, hindi ako nagpapadengoy doon sa mga tao na ino-oversell yung prices ng kanilang taxi. Didiretso ko doon. Tapos, so the first conversation I have is with the taxi driver. Tapos sabi niya, Sir, anong tingin niyo sa... Proud pa siya. He was the one who broached the topic. Sir, anong tingin niyo sa election? Ang galing ng Pilipino, no? Ayaw na natin ng mga bobo. Ayaw na natin ng mga hindi maalam, mga artista lang. Sabi ko, oo, kuya, parang sold ako dyan. Kasi sir, ang tagal na tayong niloloko eh. So I think just based on that n equals 1, di ba? Just based on that one conversation, siguro masasabi ko, nagsawa na yung mga tao talaga sa mga artista. And lahat ng mga may taning, I guess. Kasi, like running as an artista without doing the work, that's a bit of a long con. And kung long con yan, may taning yan. Having said that, meron namang mga artista na nag-aaral and hopefully sila, hindi ko naman sinasabing walang role ang artista sa politika, pero dapat naman once they get there, they start catching up, right? And kaya nga medyo masama loob ko kay Pacquiao kasi si Pacquiao naman actually tried, di ba? I mean, he tried. I actually feel bad that I'm one of those people na parang baka dapat binoto ko na lang si Pacquiao. Actually, hindi ko siya binoto. Pero ikaw, what do you think? Pinagsisihan mo ba
Yeah,
na
yeah,
hindi mo
actually,
sinasabi
you're
si Manny?
absolutely, I completely agree. I think Pacquiao was one of those. He's not just any artista, man. He's a global icon, right? I mean, I completely disagree with the homophobic statements he made. His years supporting Digong. I'm absolutely critical. His absentee record. Ang basa ko kasi kay Pacquiao is sometimes it's actually quite over. He's too sincere for his own good, and at the
Mm.
same time, like for instance, siya lang nag-attend sa mga sorties ni BBM, loyal soldier siya. And then siguro naging kampante lang siya precise because he got that last minute endorsement from Lenny. But I think that
Mm.
endorsement came a little bit too late and it was, I won't say haphazard, pero parang hindi nag-all in si Lenny. Kasi parang
I
sinabi lang ni
see.
Lenny, mabait siya sa akin, friends kami, ganun. But siguro ang dapat ginawa niya, at I think this is where he made his situation worse nung nag-release siya nung video na very defensive. Sabi nila, bobo ako, pero ako nakapag-aral ng mga tao. Sabi nila, bobo ako, pero marami akong tinulungan. That doesn't come off nice, no? Actually, parang nag-Willie Revilla may effect siya, yung parang defensive ka. Bakit?
Mm-mm.
Ikaw, ano gusto mong batas, di ba? Kumbaga na Cynthia Villar sila. I mean, Cynthia Villar is, right? Parang the ultimate Karen who lost in this election. And every time na Karen, Willie Revilla may
Ang
bumaba
ganda.
yung ratings niya. And feeling ko Karen yung labas ni Pacquiao and hindi sufficient and timely yung endorsement kay Lenny. I think Lenny could have said, nag-usap kami ni Manny, pangako ni Manny na sisiguraduhin niya na ganito, yung accountability issues, ganito, ganyan. And then Manny should have released a video. Oh, alam ko, dati busy ako, marami kong boxing, ganyan, ganyan. Pero sisipagin
Mm.
ko na yan this time, ganyan, ganyan.
Babawi ako, babawi ako.
Oh, babawi ako or something like that. Di ba? Parang boxing yan. I didn't do as well before, but I can do better. Maniwala ka. Marang sablay ang nangyari. So you could say there's some element of parang confluence of factors, di ba?
Actually, believable yung Bawi narrative kay Pacquiao because that's who he was as a boxer, di ba? sometimes he wouldn't get it. Like he would, it would take him some time to figure out an opponent. Like Morales, it took him some time to figure out Morales, but once he figured out Morales, he freaking figured Morales out. So I think baka benta yon actually. And then, di ba, tama ba, meron talagang record si Pacquiao of working with Lenny ever since, di ba? Like they were already having conversations about yung president, about running for president before, di ba? Na parang may possible tandem in the making at one point na nag-fall through lang yung discussions. Am I right? May ganun, di ba?
Although parang sinisinila si
Or
Isko.
am I
Parang si
hallucinating like
Isko yung
AI?
lumabas na parang sa narrative nila is si Isko yung Karen. And it's
Ah,
interesting. Isko is still responding to that moment na sinasabi, hindi ko inaway si Lenny ah. So you could see until
ah,
now, emotions are still raw. And I don't want to pick a fight and or pick a side here. All I'm saying is that kitang-kita natin chemistry nilang dalawa nung election time, even if they were rivals, they were singing to the same tune. Pacquiao was very
right,
confident against EJK na siya. He's for West Philippine Sea, etc. So
right.
yung tama ka, yung arc of redemption niya is quite compelling sana. And yung comeback story, everyone loves the comeback story in sports, right? So ganun din sana sa politika. So I think it was really a perfect storm of many things going wrong for Pacquiao in the most competitive race, no?
Mm.
Out there. So I think, and it's, siguro nag-expect din sila na the machinery of the state will carry
Yeah.
them. And somehow, okay, I want to ask you this. What is your read on the idea that probably kasalanan din ng surveys yan? That, the surveys made some too complacent and made some actually struggle more than they should have, right? We heard like Chel Joke na saying, kung sana sa surveys lang mas klaro, edi mas
Mm.
madali kumuha ng funding. You could have easily
Mm.
said, alam mo, kung ako si Chel, tinignan ko yung final result. Kung ako rin si Heidi, I would say, actually, may chance ako to be senator, right? Like, what is your read of that? I know both of us are in this team, parang wag tayo mag-Google Trends, survey muna tayo kasi yun pa rin yung, parang Churchillian kasi ako eh, like this is the worst way of measuring but it's better than
Yeah.
every other alternative. But some would say this election cycle, medyo the statistical and parang digression was a little bit more than in the past. But our good friend si Ronnie Holmes, I think, has his own understanding of this. Parang sabi niya yung surveys na closer to the elections, much closer captured this. I don't know. I mean, what is your read on that? Because surveys now are once again under scrutiny in
Mm.
ways they have not been for a while.
So I'll tell you the most uh, hirap ako dito, 'di ba? Because well, one, hindi ako good enough on sa regression analysis to figure out kung ano yung tama at kung ano yung mali. I'm not a mathematician. I'm also not like good in quantitative methods. So yun yung unang pasakali. Yung pangalawang pasakali is that I have worked with Pulse Asia. So I really do think it's an honest organization. So I'll tell you the most persuasive anti-survey argument I've heard from a former political operator. And then I'll tell you the most persuasive pro-survey argument I've heard. And then I'll punt on whether or not I agree with one or the other. The first, yung pinaka ano is uh yung survey, it limits the people who can get funding. Kasi kung mababa ka sa survey, hindi ka makakuha ng funding. So it tends to reproduce the candidates who are already powerful, right?
Self-reinforcing dynamic, yeah.
Oo. So kunwari number 17 ka, lumapit ka sa funder and yung funder gusto magtaya sa panalo, hindi magbibigay sa iyo, right? And that's how Philippine business operates. And that's particularly sad because that prevents people from new candidates from emerging. On the other hand, parang this idea of not having surveys, how would you do it? Like that would require a kind of ban, right? Kind of survey ban because kunwari, Pulse Asia says ayaw din na kami magre-release ng political survey because ayaw namin ng bandwagon effect, assuming totoo nga yung bandwagon effect. Um, what if somebody else just releases their political survey? Eh di parang sira na yung ginawa ng Pulse. So you can't do it as an individual survey company. It would require a ban. And then a ban would probably be problematic because what is a survey? It's essentially political speech, right? So may freedom of speech issues tayo kung ibaban mo yung survey. I don't know if you agree with me there, Richard.
You know,
Na parang you get out of that problem.
I think it's bad. Medyo, I think that's medyo advanced ang mag-isip kung ganyan ng level ng thinking. No, no, no. I'm all for surveys coming out. I'm just saying that first there has to be humility on the part of social scientists and even people who are conducting surveys to see that, first of all,
Mm.
it's not only a snapshot, but maybe the structural conditions for slavery have changed. I mean, you're based in the US, you teach in Berkeley. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm sure you have come across numerous reports, including by New York Times, among others, saying that nahihirapan na sila mag-survey nowadays in the US because
Yeah.
trust in all sorts of institution is lower than ever, right?
Yeah. May isang thesis dito na doesn't have to do with trust in institutions. It's about the growth of C. And narinig mo na ata to eh. Na one of the reasons daw why the surveys didn't really fully get the result towards the end is because yung survey categories is premised on class C being relatively small but also Class C being available to field workers. May interview nila yung Class C. But there are two related phenomena that make that more difficult now. Number one, yung expansion ng Class C lumaki. So, hindi kailangan mong pagbaguhin yung weights because nga, yumayaman yung Pilipinas. We're
True.
so rich. We're so freaking rich now. Like, people are gonna deny this, but the Philippines is really rich. So, lumalaki yung Class C. Pangalawa, Class C is starting to behave like Class B and A, meaning they're hauling themselves up in private condominiums and subdivisions. So kung yung Class A may Forbes Park, yung Class C may Camellia Homes, the effective is the same. Hindi mo sila ma-interview.
Cynthia
So
Holmes, Cynthia Holmes.
so the theory goes na kaya hindi makuha ng survey yung talagang sentimento ng electorate is because ang hirap mo na makuha yung Class C. I think the survey companies are going to have to test that hypothesis out, but it's a great hypothesis. I think survey companies are actually willing to test out the money. It's not as if they're not reflecting on that reality. In fact,
Well,
that
it's
hypothesis,
an industry, right? So they have
yeah.
to regain some lost ground, whether it's fair or not. Ako parati, I'm somewhere in the middle. Eh. Parang point ko is, um, totally disagree ako yung mga nagsasabi na walang kwenta ng mga surveys. Shoutout kay Sir Ronald. But at the same time, I think survey, folks should also be a little bit more humble about this. I sense a bit too much of defensiveness. And then at the same time, I think some explanations have to be made. Like, for instance, I'll be honest, it's not only me, but even other people in the surveying world kind of raise their eyebrows when say, like, why are we surveying Duterte's trust rating in the same column as someone is actually serving as a
Oh, that's
president?
interesting.
You get what I'm saying? Like, parang apples and oranges to put it
Yeah.
nicely. And then, of
Yeah.
course, I'm sure some people were not happy when I said, ay, isama niyo lang si Kibole Teves. I mean, if you're gonna put people in detention or criminals there and just make it look like or it could come off like a
Are
popularity.
you saying it's like normalization?
My point is you're making politics like stock markets. You're making
Uh,
popularity context because again, this is why I say that to myself. Richard, you should be also careful with what you say. I mean, kaya nga I'm not going to use human development index for quite some time is because it's so easy for what you say to be taken out of context and weaponized in a
mm,
highly hyper polarized environment. And
yeah.
I saw that very tragically, or at least in a like in a very difficult way in my own personal case. Like I want to raise something legitimate, and then it can get twisted. Next thing you know, it creates its own world. Even more so if you're leading a survey agency or one of the leading survey agencies that next thing you know, all I see online is, ayun pala 60% approval ni Duterte, ibalik na sa Pilipinas. Or si Sara pala, majority pala eh. Si BBM pala, lame duck na, di ba? Yung ganon na these narratives, I'm not sure how they're helping our democracy because my mentor was Pepe Miranda, and I remember the very founder of Pulse Asia, whose argument back in the day was that, surveys could help policymakers to fine-tune their policy. It gives a snapshot. But now we are in a weaponization phase. So I just felt, sana I was thinking more version of the other survey which we saw from SWS, I think WR numero has it, which is asking people, do you think na kailangan na harapin ni Sara Duterte yung impeachment? I think no, not to say to dapat paalisin siya. Like just I think those questions are also important to be asked instead of just popularity questions. And last time I checked, ano bang trabaho ni Sara since she left DepEd? I mean, parang ang weird. Ewan ko, like I'm not sure how these surveys are becoming helpful if it's being reduced to popularity contest measurement, whether it's
Right, right.
affecting
So
polarization, blah blah blah.
So you're also saying na dapat bumalik yung original intention ng some of the surveys, which is actually measuring public opinion related to certain policies, right? Because in that sense, it's useful, diba? Like for example, most Filipinos are in favor of policy X, legislation X. Then that sends a clear message to our legislators about where to go, right? And it serves a function in a democratic system because prior to surveys, ang feedback mo lang election, right? So, in between elections, politicians are essentially in the shadows. Hindi nila alam kung ano yung mandato nila. They're just working off the electoral results. But with surveys, you get an idea of this, like, however fleeting it is, like this idea of public opinion, which can then shape legislative practice and which, in a sense, theoretically should make democracy more responsive.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that's ideal. I know, kaga sasabihin nila, like, ang mahal gumawa ng surveys, etc., which also raises issues with funding it. For me, if you're gonna do surveys which are for public interest purposes, you're releasing the public for free, right? You want to make sure it's something that actually enforces questions of policy effectiveness, or to be more idealistic about it, accountability. So I think it was good that SWS and others came up with the surveys asking people, whoa, wait, bago natin tanungin gaano ka-popular or lovable si Tatay Digong or si Sara, unang-una, kailangan ba natin balikan yung Miggy Mango and mga ganon, di ba? Like, we
Uh,
can have a debate about whether the SWS survey was the best designed question survey. Okay, we can have a debate. But so let's have multiple versions of that. Let's see who has the better one. So,
Mm.
yun lang,
Oh,
I'm
pero
just more.
okay na rin nga na parang hindi na yung surveys din hindi na big two, 'di ba? Because Pulse and SWS lang before. Ngayon nga you have Sina Cleve like and then of course sina Prof.
Okta,
Ranjit.
yeah, exactly. No, no, I'm good with that. But let's be honest, Pulse Asia has been the most regular, consistent, and I think, yeah, not to exaggerate this, but it's the gold standard of service in the country. The way my authority, I know this because I talk to campaign people. Like, parati pag nag-uusap kami ng mga different surveys, hindi, Pulse Asia pa rin tinitingnan namin eh. Something like that, diba? So, you could see, it has that. Kasi ang nangyari sa established for a while, parang nawala siya sa eksena, diba? And
Hmm.
then, well, speaking of surveys, like, there are also gaps, like exit polls. Wala tayong exit polls since 2016. So,
Dahil
like,
wala ng pera kasi wala ng pera.
so sana mag-consortium sila, di ba? I know it's expensive kasi ang laki ng sampling,
Bro,
but
bro, hindi. Wala tayong exit poll since 2010. I remember 2016 pa
meron
lang.
2016 SWS.
Ah,
Meron,
meron. Okay,
TV5,
okay.
nakita ko. Yeah, yeah. Meron
Okay.
2016. We saw the breakdown. So, for instance, yung exit poll ng 2016 proves you na mali yung sinasabi nila, yung mga kabataan walang alam sa kasaysayan kaya binoto si BBM. Actually, it's not true. Ang mas bumoto kay BBM based on exit polls.
Ito yung vice presidential run niya.
Yeah, I mean, it's both, 'di ba? Pero doon sa vice presidential, nakita natin na actually more voted for BBM na boomer who should have known
Hmm.
better, and even older Gen X than millennials. In fact, the millennials edged it out for Lenny Robredo. And then kay Digong, and this is where you and I come in, we have been saying this forever, ito yung tinatawag ni Walden ng reactionary middle class. The higher the education level, the higher socioeconomic bracket, the higher support for Digong, 2016. We already saw that in the exit polls, not only in pre-election surveys. But yun nga, parang 2022 and especially 2025, Gen Z na kasing lumalaking demographic eh. Tayo mga matatandang millennials, we're still in the game, but the Gen Zs are becoming more and more important. And I would say they're also the more protean or liminal demographic. Probably their voting patterns are a little bit less rigid, let's say, than other demographics, but we wouldn't know that if we don't have exit polls. So actually, purong educated guess tayo. So this is where I want surveys to happen, right? So siguro less surveys na pwedeng gawing popularity context ng troll farms or interested parties, even though hindi yun ang intention ng surveys, and maybe more exit polls. Sana nagsama itong mga survey agencies na yan. It's not, I'm sure it's not like they didn't earn much during election period. Like,
Ah.
I'm sure I mean, come on, let's be honest. I'm sure there was money. I mean, I know it's not easy, it's expensive. Kung
Hmm.
nagsama sila resource. So I think it's malaking pagkakulang sa ating political analysis na wala tayong legit exit poll since 2016 basically.
Sobra for me, sobra. And that's something that Manolo Quezon also says all the time, yung exit polls. Matagal na yung sinasabi yan na dapat talaga may pondo ng exit polls. And I wonder why yung mga people who used to fund it ayaw na nilang pondohan. Parinig, alam niyo naman kung sino kayo mga nagpa-fund ng exit poll dati. Balikan niyo na, balik niyo naman. Contribution niyo na lang sa demokrasyang Pilipino yan.
Mga pogo, baka pwede. Maraming pera mo yan, mga pogo, pogo. Dali natin si Harry.
Ito yung isa sa mga by the way, sa mga viewers sa atin just to basics ng survey yung mga survey company hindi sila independently mayaman. Like, Ronnie Holmes is not a millionaire who can just commission.
Not wrong. He's
Oo.
an academic like us.
So, ang survey company talaga, they live and die yan based on yung subscriber ng mga politiko na nagsasubscribe at yung mga tao nagko-commission talaga ng mga survey. So, kung wala tayong mga people who are commissioning exit survey, wala talaga yan. Pulse is just not going to be able, or SWS, they're not just going to be able to do that kung wala nagko-commission.
That's a good point. Thank you so much again for mentioning that. So again, I we take into consideration some would say legitimate, some would say emotional, some would say understandable criticism of surveys. But guys, the alternative to surveys is Quantum Barbero, Google Trends, all sorts of different stuff. So I'm just gonna be Churchillian about this and say it might be problematic, but it's still better than all other alternatives, right? And it can always be improved. Now, going back to this, and by the way, I'm just talking in general. Obviously, some surveys got it closer. I think the one that Paul say shot closer to the election was okay. I had a consumer sentiment by a major company. Baka naman, pwede na kayo mag-fund din ng exit polls. Internal yan sa mga korporasyon yan. I saw it that actually said 20-25% ng voters decide on the election day. So sabi ko, ang laki pala ng elasticity nito. And meron sila internal survey na nakita ko, top 5 sila, Bam and Kiko.
Mm.
That was like wow. Yung Mark Oleta lang wala akong nakita na. I don't think there's any survey. No,
Marcole,
the Mark Oleta one I would say is really like talagang ano parang alien invasion like what?
ah,
Like talagang unknown nung four categories known. You know unknown like I've not seen any survey. Even yung kay Malu na kinuha
ah.
niya correctly kay Bam. I'm not sure
Ala-
that Mark Oleta number 6 though. Like
Pero alam mo, ang na-realize ko kay Marcoleta, if you're a machine, mabilis lang kay Marcoleta, if you're a machine politician, gusto mo si Marcoleta reliable eh. Kasi panahon pa lang ni GMA, di ba? Naalala mo nung impeachment, yung ini-impeach si GMA, useful si Marcoleta kasi siya yung nagpa-file ng impeachment na palpak. Kasi 'di ba pag na-file mo ng impeachment, they've decided on it, hindi ka na pwede mag-file ulit. So kung i-file mo yung palpak na articles of impeachment, effectively the president is protected. And
team player siya.
Marcoleta was so reliable. Like love siya ng Arroyo camp because he would always file the bad impeachment complaints and he would not complain. He was a team player. So if you are a machine politician, Marcoleta is such a reliable ally and he's such an efficient ally in that sense.
Hmm. We'll talk about another very reliable. I'm just kidding. Mapahamak ko naman tayo. No, you're absolutely right. Remember yung Shimenot?
Hmm.
Shimenot, meron na version ni Marcoleta, Yumenot. Diba? Yung parang, every time kinikriticize si Sara, dinidefend niya si Sara. So,
Oo.
Yumenot. So, before the whole Marcoleta in West Philippines memes came out, it was the Yumenot. So, you're right. He's actually a team player, in fairness to him. And, if you put aside ideology and normative discussions, you're absolutely right. From a political calculus point of view, you want someone like him.
A political calculus point of view, masarap ilagay sa sample ballot si Marcoleta.
Tama ka. He delivers. He
Not
delivers.
from a moral, not from a, and
Absolutely.
again, sana hindi tayo maklip ha, not from a moral point of view. So don't take this out of context because I did not vote for Marcoleta and I don't think from a moral point of view justifiable na supportan si Marcoleta. I'm saying from a machine politician's point of view.
Yes. But you voted for Ben Tulfo.
Hindi, hindi. I met Ben Tulfo and I was very charmed by Ben Tulfo. I met him close to your current studio sa Reliance, bro. Nung panahon na
Tulfo
namin
natics
kasal.
na naman tayo dyan, pare. Mababash na naman tayo. Now let's go to the more progressive side of the ledger. So, Akbayan, number one, like, ang layo sa lahat ng surveys na nakita ko. Like
Ay.
600% better than the surveys I saw. And highest ever in the history of, like, party. Even Duterte youth na medyo
Oh.
matanda na sila. Like, paano naging youth na? But, like, even Duterte youth, yung mga Tulfo party list, they couldn't match it, di ba? Like, actually, I was so amazed by party list. Like, yung angkas nila George just got 100,000 views. Imagine with everything Angkas has, with Vice Gan na ganun. Ang dami natalo mga party list na you would have thought na easy for them. And then Akbayan did so good. So what do you think, bro? Is it children factor? Is it
Grabe bro,
Gen Z factor?
makwento ko lang. The week after the election was the wedding of my brother. And yung brother ko at saka yung now wife niya, Akbayan. Tapos, alam naman tao, Akbayan family ako. So yung mga ninang at saka yung mga ninong puro Akbayan, yung mga tao doon puro Akbayan. So hindi ko alam kung ano siya, kung wedding siya or celebration. Kasi yung mga akbayan, sobrang high spirits. Everybody was so happy. So, partly they were celebrating my brother and my new sister-in-law, but they were also celebrating the party, and it was a great wedding for that reason. Apart from the fact that it's a great merging of two really, I think, really great families with great political consciences. But wow, like nobody expected it. And syempre petty, no? Parang in terms of being competitive, parang ang saya, mas marami pang seats ang Akbayan as a single party kaysa sa buong Makabayan block. 'Di ba? Parang wow. That has never happened, 'di ba? Usually kinakain yung Akbayan ng Makabayan block. And also like for a party that nung panahon ni Gloria, zinizero yung Akbayan, 'di ba? To being number one. So hindi ko alam kung ano yung read nun. Pero ang bango-bango ng akbayan, even when you just talk to people, it's become like, I mean, I always thought na people, reformists or people na may political conscience, they have a choice, right? They can go for the Liberal Party or pwede silang makabayan, right? And you're pinging back and forth between those two groups, and you feel like, oh, one's too left, and then one is like too mainstream, then Akbayan may feel just right. Alam mo yan, parang I think
Goldilocks.
yun yung baseline for yung affect ng amor ng mga tao for Akbayan, this kind of Goldilocks middle. But that's always been the case for Akbayan. It's always had the Goldilocks middle. That doesn't explain why number one siya for this election. So what is it about this election that made that Goldilocks middle kind of air about Akbayan? What was it about that made that Goldilocks middle thing more matingkad? Yun yung hindi ko masagot. Baka si Chel yun, baka just disillusionment with so many parties, and I have no idea. I haven't talked to any Akbayan people about a kind of post-mortem. They've just been mostly
Really?
celebrating.
Like they didn't even gave you a kind of off the record. Obviously, I'm sure Chatham House rules then, but didn't anyone give you like kind of a working post-mortem at least? Obviously, the easiest way is to say it was nag-align ng lahat ng stars, 'di ba? Like Riza Ontiveros becoming really a mainstream politician, especially after her stellar, I called her the breakout star of Philippine politics last year. Grabe, she canned how many Pogo people, si Gua Huaping. Actually, the correct way is AKA Alice Go, but she's
Yeah.
Huaping. I mean, the Pogo thing, grabe, like I think so many. I even know like MAGA Filipinos who like Riza Ontiveros. Imagine like
Mm.
people are pro-Trump, Filipino Americans, they love Riza. So I think Riza did a great job of making people appreciate the more social democratic progressive approach to this than your standard liberalism or standard far to the left kind of position. And then children, obviously, children. I mean, I think Chel Jokno's the X factor he brought into the picture is really hard to
Yeah.
is and then Percy, the impeachment, he was the one who really sponsored. So siguro nagsama-sama lahat, no? Pero baka
I,
branding din. Baka
I,
I
I,
didn't analyze the branding enough.
I'm just looking back at yung history ng mga naging first rep ng Akbayan. We've had some kind of dynamite first reps from like Eta Rosales to Walden Bello, di ba? Pero in terms of mainstream appeal, like Chel's probably higher mainstream appeal than Eta or Walden. And of course, we love Walden, we love Eta, pero iba talaga yung mainstream appeal ni Chel. Of course, Risa was rep of Akbayan for the longest time. And I'm happy to have been wrong here, because at one point I was worried na Senator Ontiveros had become a brand independent of Akbayan. Si Risa yan eh, Senator Ontiveros yan. And not because Risa wanted it to be that way, but because Philippine politics just tends to think in personalistic terms. So Risa did her best to carry the Akbayan brand and to brand herself as Akbayan. But I was fearful that the personalistic nature of the Philippines would make it such that people would forget that she was carrying a party, she was carrying a platform that was attached to that party. And what's been most comforting to me is the fact na mukhang na-associate si Senator Ontiveros, yung huge brand na yun, yung Senator Ontiveros brand, with their party. And that's a good thing for party politics in our country. Hindi completely na individualize yung treatment kay Risa.
Yeah, yung decoupling hindi nangyari, no? We
Hindi
all
nangyari,
worked,
hindi
yeah,
nangyari.
So what happened?
Akala ko talaga nag-decouple na eh. So mali ako dito. Hindi
I was
nag-decouple.
worried too.
Oh.
No, I completely see where you were coming from, and a part of me saying, baka nga, let's just be happy na meron tayong progressive senator, di ba?
Mm.
Oh, but as things stand, thank God, di ba? I mean, as we speak, may mga nagsabi, Hontiveros, NPA, they're trying to red tag Risa, but
Yeah.
it's not working. Like, good luck doing that.
Guys,
Yeah.
ano ba? Yung mga akbayan operatives, tinitira ng NPA yan. Paano nyo i-red tag? Ito yung pinakabastos eh. Ito yung pinakabastos pag i-red tag nyo yung akbayan. Because akbayan communities, since their foundation, nung malakas pa yung NPA, marami kami, kasi I was very involved in akbayan nung time na yun, marami kami mga local operatives na tinitira ng NPA. Kaya ako dati, public knowledge naman to, chair ako dati ng Akbayan Youth. Alam na ng mga tao na anti-communist ako, mahilig akong bumira ng NPA. Nung chair ako ng Akbayan Youth, I had to shut up a little bit kasi every time bumira kami sa national, ang tinatamaan yung local. Hindi naman ako yung titirahin ng NPA, yung tao namin sa local yung titirahin. So napakalaking insulto na tawagin yung isang partido na naging biktima ng NPA na NPA. Napakasakit yon.
Well, just to be clear, this is coming from hypocrites called DDS, whose tatay, oh, by the way, is gonna most likely rot somewhere far away, but was very chums with the NPA, and in
Mm,
fact even
mm,
appointed a couple of our good friends or fellow travelers to top positions. So I'm just telling you, this is a DDS thing, but it looks like hindi na nag-resonate to beyond the DDS realm. But going back to this, is this is this enough success? Obviously, 3 seats Akbayan, that's great, but that's like 3 seats in an ocean of 300 seats, right? BAM number two, Kiko, great. Kiko number five, but that's like 2 out of 24 republics in the Senate, right? So the
mm,
numbers are not as overwhelming. Kasi so when Walden wrote third force na sila, I would say that's the aspiration. For now, at least, they could be kingmakers, right? At the very least, diba? They could be the crucial swing votes, or at least could be part of the major ongoing efforts. At saktong-sakto, nung sabi ko dapat kasama sa prosecution team si Chel, and I mean my pitch was you want Akbayan and Mamayan Liberal to be there because you want Chel Jokno and Leila De Lima to be in the prosecution team, and that's exactly what
tama.
happened. As it turned out, dalawang natalo dun sa original prosecution team too. I don't know, stars aligned once again. But nevertheless, they don't have the raw numbers on their own, but they could have an outsized role, no? So they could be at least kingmakers, or do some tactical alliances and voting here and there. But eventually, they have to become a third force. I think that's more of
Mm,
an aspiration that is not unrealistic. What is your
mm.
read on that?
Ah, So, we'll see yung laro, 'di ba? Kasi ano yung magiging relationship niya sa admin. And I know there are some people na lantaran sinasabi na dapat may strategic and tactical alliance with the Marcos administration ngayon itong mga nakapasok. Um, is that still the line of Senator Sonny Trillanes? I think Tony Laviña was of this position. I heard him on a podcast saying
Yeah.
this. Is this Sonny Trillanes' position at this point?
Well, for transparency, I think I may have contributed to popularizing the term tactical voting, and I got that from Alexei Navalny, right? Because
Mm.
Alexei Navalny came up with that strategy. So he will team up with communists and whoever is number two in every para lang matalo yung party ni Putin, the United Russia.
Oo.
So that's where I got the idea. Now, when you're in an impossible situation and you have few chips to play, these are some of the reasonable strategies you can adopt. Now, next thing I know is that, like there are different permutations of this. Ako, in principle, just to be again transparent about this, and anyways, I'm out on these issues. I think there should be some tactical, like the fact that Chell and Leila are part of a prosecution team, which is mostly formed under the auspices of Martin Romualdez. I think that's
Yeah.
already a form of tactical alliance, right? Because otherwise, you could have said, "Oh, no, we don't want to be part of anything that has, finger,
Yeah.
but they didn't do that, diba? Parang okay, we may have disagreements on this issue, like Leila and Chell are still minority bloc, right? At ayaw rin nila sumama sa mga kabayan and others, right? But at the same time, on this issue of prosecution, on the issue of accountability, pwede tayo magsama dito on a very tactical issue-based way.
Mm.
That for me is tactical alliances. Not the
Yeah.
full-fledged na, ay hindi, magbulag-bulagan na tayo sa lahat ng mga kalokohan na nangyari, o ganun. Tapos mag-anti-Duterte lang tayo through and through. Yan hindi. And then just a second layer to this, bro, and I know this will be more relevant in different discussion, is I also did not find enough judiciousness when dun yung mga ibang kaibigan natin na basically the school of corruption explains everything. Basically, ang ginawa nila earlier this year was this is the worst budget ever, the most corrupt budget ever.
Yes, yes, yes,
Dude,
yes, yes.
that just
Leakage.
that gave Sara a second wind like nothing else. Like basically argument ng DDS is, kami na-accuse nyo, million lang, billion lang man ang ninanakaw ng kabila. Tingnan, pakinggan nyo itong mga dilawan na to. Doon sabi ko, patay tayo dyan, gagamitin ng mga
Oh, I
DDS.
like that point. Yeah, yeah, I like that point.
That
That's a
was,
very
I'm
good point. Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah.
That's where Sonny came out. We were discussing this and Sonny said, ang dapat focus ngayon is yung momentum kay Sara. Anong pinaggagawa ng mga taong yan?
Yeah.
I think that's where it started becoming a thing, a discussion point. Just
Yeah. Yeah, kasi nga, 'di ba, medyo primed tayo sa opposition to think that corruption is the end all be all issue, and medyo 6 na taon na natin sinasabi to, hindi na 'yan ang primary consideration ng electorate ngayon. Dapat given na anti-corruption kay. Given na dapat 'yun. So for example, yung walang korap, walang mahirap, hindi naman totoo 'yun eh. Pwedeng walang korap, maraming mahirap dahil yung presidente hindi makamasa. So, malinis nga siya, pero hindi siya makamasa. Sa gobyernong tapat, angat buhay lahat. Hindi, you can have an honest government na hindi makamasa. Hindi angat buhay ang lahat. So, dapat given na yung anti-corruption. But we're
kasi
so
mali yung
primed.
polisiya niya. Kasi mali, neoliberal,
Oo,
pro-market,
oo.
pro-corporation.
We're
Yeah.
so primed
Malinis
to
pero sablay. Yeah.
We're so primed to respond to corruption issues na nakalimutan natin that corruption is not the end-all be-all issue. The end-all be-all issue here is, I think, relative to the Dutertes, the survival of the very soul of our republic. Hindi yun corruption issue. Yung soul of republic is like a republic that values human life. Ganun ka-basic. A republic that values its sovereignty relative to a power like China. These are not corruption issues. These are more fundamental than that. These are existential issues. And to me, as that should be front and center, yung two existential issues sa yung paniniwala natin sa dangal ng buhay ng bawat tao at yung paniniwala natin sa soberanya natin bilang isang independent country. That's not corruption, that's existential.
Well, yeah, I mean, corruption is bad, but extrajudicial killing is next level bad.
Worse, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Selling out, you can sell out your country for your pockets or you can sell them out to a foreign power. I mean, 'di ba? Parang iba ng level eh.
Treason na yan. Yeah.
Oo.
I mean, for corruption, you go to jail. For treason, you get, you get,
Yeah.
you get
Oo,
sent to
oo,
another
oo,
dimension in
oo.
some countries, right? There's a reason, right?
Let's get it straight na we need to be able to discriminate sins, right? Ah, meron siyang deal with DPWH for example dahil parang may pinagawang daan at kumikbak dito. That's pretty bad, but that's not as bad as selling out your country to China.
Filling out basically the whole the whole shtick. No, yeah, exactly. So against corruption given na yan, 'di ba? But ako kasi maybe it's too Italian, but this is Dante Alighieri. There's a purgatory, there's seven circle of hell, right? Discernment lang yan, 'di ba? All of it is bad, but there are levels to bad eh. And if you
Hmm.
cannot do discernment,
Tama, tama.
you shouldn't be in the business. This is mag-ano
Hmm.
ka na lang, 'di ba? I might say something, but you get what I'm saying. You have no business in politics if you
Hmm.
don't have discernment, right? Unless you're doing this for self-promotion. Para
Hmm.
lang ibang usapan 'yan. I don't want to go into that. But going back to this, bro. So as we speak, people are saying baka kailangan na ng people power kasi grabe na hindi lang dribble to eh. Sabi nga ni Risa nung isang araw, buti pa yan sa basketball. After a while, may timer eh, may buzzer.
Ito na
Kailangan
ba? Ito na ba?
hit
Ito
yung
na ba?
bola eh.
Ako na ba ang paksa ng ating usapan ngayon?
Good morning, live na po. Kasama po natin ngayon ang
Kilay ko na ba ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon? Ito na,
ang
nakarating na tayo.
Kilay, the most beautiful Kilay in the country of
Yeah.
7,000 islands, millions and millions of fans.
Ipinaglalaban ko ang karapatan ng mga mahilig mag-basketball na mga ahit ang kilay at mga ipit ang boses.
In fairness naman, medyo, tumaas yung Kilay. Hindi yung boses.
Mas yung kilay, yung boses, hindi pa, kasi itinaas yung kilay sa nivel ng boses.
Correct. Speaking of taas kilay, maraming nagtaas kilay. Sinasabi ng iba, kailangan na mag-people power na. Ako ang read ko dito is, obviously, again, this goes back to my worry with, surveys just reinforcing this idea na wala na, Duterte comeback na to, malakas talaga sila, this is it. Wag na natin silang anuin kasi parang you don't want to make enemy of the future, right? That's a nice way of putting it. So the only way to counter that sensibility or zeitgeist is to show actually, as for last time I checked here in Metro Manila, marami mga Pink loyalists. I mean, if you look at the vote of Alianza and Pink and Progressive Akbayan, ang laki dito sa Metro Manila and Luzon. Again, I don't want to go down that road, but what I'm saying is, maybe you want to remind also the senators na hindi lang popularity ng other side yung dapat titignan mo. Dapat titignan mo rin yung constitutional duty mo. And if you cannot look at that, then look at people who are going to be pissed off at you and may cost you your political future, right? But at the same time, we have this whole history of nakailang people power na. We don't even know. People power 4, people power 5. Because sabi ng iba, yung EDSA 4 was like January 6 natin. Some would make parallels like that. But I think that's a little bit elitist because it's the other side of the equation. This is the era of massa supporters. Anyways, I'm asking you, bro, because you had a whole book on the EDSA people power legacy. Do you think we're past the point na wala na yan? It's done. You have to reinvent something new. Or maybe there could be some versions of that for the 21st century na hindi destabilizing, hindi chaotic, hindi anti-constitutional, pero pro-constitutional people power. Because ang pinag-usapan natin dito is the constitutional duty of the Senate to act upon yung forthwith, yung impeachment that landed on their desk what, 5 months ago, for heaven's sake.
So, hindi na ako naniniwala doon sa people power that leads to the removal of a president just because people massed up on the street. Naniniwala ako sa popular protest pa rin going out in the streets as a means of to do. And I think, ito yung working theory ko ngayon, bodies on the street still matter to politicians because it's a good gauge of yung intensity of yung support for something. Because social media support is so easy, fleeting, di ba? Magputak-putak ka sa social media, okay lang, it affects people. Pero the fact that you brave the heat, linabas mo yung Jisoo Life fan mo, tapos pumunta ka doon, nagmarcha-marcha ka, it says that there's a kind of intensity to the cause. So I think that's still. And I have no problem against it, 'di ba? Lahat naman ng presidente tinatamaan. Like kahit si Noynoy, 'di ba? Tinamaan ng Million People March, 'di ba? Hindi lang naman mga kalaban ng dilawan yung tinatamaan ng people power. Kahit yung mga dilawan mismo tinatamaan ng various forms of people power. So Million People March was, I think, a huge, it damaged the Noynoy administration significantly, and that was part and parcel of yung pag-decline ng popularity ng Aquino administration towards the end. So there's still room for it, pero we draw the line on yung extra constitutionality.
Yun nga, like I think people also are like we have to be clear when you say people power, it's just demonstrating na may mga citizens, proactive citizens there who are not gonna just allow these institutions to just do their own thing in clear defiance of our their duties and also yung kasi ganito bro, like talagang banana republic ka, no? If after all the
Oo.
exposés, after all the threats to the president, after all the Miggy Mangos and all the piatos and all of that, and then parang trial lang, ayun niya. Actually, sabi ko, baka dapat sisisihin na, kasi there was this episode I had with Justice Carpio where basically our argument was, yeah, she may have the numbers to block a conviction, pero kung marami ma-expose, like the money trail and everything, she will be damaged politically enough not to
Yun
be
nga,
able
yun
to
nga.
run for 2028. And then next thing you know, baka Bongo will make the move. Yeah. So, bigla ngayon, baka ayaw na nilang trial kasi alam nila, even if they may have, the reason I say may is because public opinion may force the hands of some of the centrist senators there, right? Except, I don't know, Bato, Bongo, those people. Baka naman, parang takot sila even to have a trial from what
An impeachment trial remains a national event. I don't know yung Corona trial not so much, but I don't know if people remember yung trial ni Erap, 'di ba? People stopped watching their telenovelas to watch the impeachment trial, and impeachment trial well run with the appropriate levels of drama. Yung may mga character ba? Like, if you have a great prosecution team, kunwari may dramatic speech si Laila de Lima, di ba? May dramatic speech si Chel Jokno. this is the kind of event that can get people glued to their television screens. And in fact, baka mas importante pa ngayon kasi 'di ba sa States sinasabi nila, wala na yung water cooler events. Yung water cooler media events, yung everybody watches it like friends before and they hang out in the water cooler and talk about wala na. Nangyayari rin yun sa Pilipinas. Pero suspecha ko an impeachment trial, lahat
Like
tayo manonood
Quadcom.
doon.
No, Quadcom had that
Quadcom, 'di
effect.
ba?
Quadcom had
Ah,
that effect. I mean, why go 2001? Just go 2024. Ang taas ng viewership ng Quadcom, naging
mm.
household name. Yung mga
Ah,
congressman, like, did you ever think we will bother to even know about whatever congressman? Like, but now
yeah.
suddenly, ang galing ni Ganing, ang galing ni Luis Tro, ang galing ni Zia, ang galing ni Gutierrez. Because they had hours and hours on TV and online to demonstrate their capacity, their skills, their patriotism, whatever you want to call it. So I think the Quadcom gave us an idea that this could be another blockbuster at even a higher level because you're talking about
Oh,
yung prosecution, defense team, senators. Imagine Robin Hood Padilla in the robe of a
yung pageantry, bro, tama. I was just about to
imagine
say,
pa.
ibang klaseng pageantry. And we run an impeachment trial better than the Americans run an impeachment trial. Kasi yung impeachment trial ng Amerikano, wala namang pageantry. Merong floor sa Senado, nandun lahat ng ebidensya, bababa yung mga senador, titignan nila, tapos aakyat boboto. Hindi tayo, may pomp and may circumstance. Tapos lahat ng kabaduyan ng senador lumalabas. So yung ganong klaseng showmanship becomes an integral part of the impeachment trial na medyo, I think, may only in the Philippines level. And sorry, babalik na naman ako sa 2001. Dati kasi high school ako noon, bro. I couldn't wait to go home. Excited na excited ako umuwi kasi manunood na ako, mag-tune na talaga ako. And Sarah is an interesting, it's also about personalities, di ba? Erap was a very interesting personality to look into. Sarah is a very interesting personality to look into. There's theatrics involved, there's high
Bloodbath nga, bloodbath. Diba?
Oo. Oo, so ano ka kung producer like let's pretend na wala tayong political stakes dito. Like, let's pretend like we're Hollywood producers or like GMA ABS-CBN producers. The material is gold. The characters are gold. Can you
Content, bro.
imagine like Laila De Lima and like and Sara Duterte in the same room? Inaalala mo lang, 'di ba, yung si Duterte nasa Congress, nasa House, 'di ba? Tapos nakikipagbangayan siya doon sa mga tao doon. Aliw na yung mga tao. Ito pa kaya, my God.
Absolutely. I mean, my goodness, it will be gold content. Again, from a non-normative standpoint, but from a normative standpoint, what a disaster it would be for a republic if after everything you cannot even have a trial. But nga si Tito Soto, but obviously he has an interest to complain because there's already discussion about who could be the next Senate president. Tito Soto was saying parang even the preliminary steps seem to not have been taken by Jesus Codera, and I don't know what is his latest excuse. Ang latest excuse niya, my new legislative priorities. And I think this is where I was critical of BBM coming out and saying, ayoko yung trial. And like, all he had to say was, I'm gonna respect separation of powers and then just zip your mouth and get
Yes.
out of here. But no, he keeps
Yes.
on throwing wet blanket, giving excuses to Tim Piatos, right? Or whoever they're trying to block the
Piatos.
trial, di ba? What else
Ganda.
can I call them? Tim Piatos, di ba? Like, after everything, you don't want to even have a trial now? But come on, this is ridiculous, di ba? And then, kagabi, I was watching or listening to the debate. Ayan na, naglalabasan na ng Ingles. Yung mga si Tolentino versus... For the first time in my life, na-realize ko, aba, si Coco Pimentel, medyo okay rin pala siya after all, no? Maybe he didn't fall too far from the tree, di ba?
Hmm.
He made a very good argument, legally speaking, kasi they were also looking at jurisprudence and gaps in our constitution. The US, they were invoking the example of US quantitatively and qualitatively for how... Kasi yung isang debate ngayon is, what happens if hindi aksyonan ni Cheese ngayon and then hintayin niya until next Congress? So argument ni Tolentino, who was like the Ronald Llamas of Digong, and then biglang alyansa, at ngayon biglang bumalik pa or something. His argument was, lapse na yan, dismiss na yan. Pag hindi na-actionan ngayon, hindi na magpapas yan sa next Congress or next Senate. But practically everyone else, including Coco Pimentel, quite eloquent, his argument is that, wait, may continuity yan. And last time I checked, and Dino De Leon, also Attorney Dino, yesterday was also clarified. Remember, this Senate, bro, doesn't reboot. There were always a 12 senators who will be there as incumbent. New 12 will just reboot, di ba? So there's a continuity there. And
Hmm.
therefore, walang kwenta yung argument na by then. But anyway, we don't want to get into the granular constitutional debates. What I'm
Isn't
saying is
like,
that
sorry, ito hindi ako abogado, but isn't the continuity, just the continuity of the fact that this remains the Senate of the same Republic of the Philippines.
Yeah, but they're saying, there's this argument that if the 19th Congress doesn't act upon it, then that means then nothing happened
Yeah,
for
I know, but I
the
mean
Senate Congress.
on a parang completely bird's eye view level na parang ito medyo layman na just the fact na it's still the Senate of the Philippines regardless of what the composition is. Dapat may ganung klaseng continuity in the sense na the laws of previous senates are still the laws that we respect until today until they've been overturned, right? So there's a continuity in the sense that we're in the same republic, right? Wala namang kudeta. 'Di ba? There's a kind of continuity dapat of institutions. That's kind of my layman response to it. I don't know what the lawyers think.
Well, my reading is that there's so much gaps in the Constitution. We're gonna have Justice Carpio also soon, and hopefully, all of us will meet together with Justice Carpio also soon, because I'm sure, as a man of Constitution, he has also a lot to say on this issue. No, this is a very interesting case. All I was saying is that dun ko lang narinig si Coco Pimentel na actually explain something, and I realized actually maybe intelligent para siya after all. Like, I know he was a bar top notcher, but I don't get impressed with you just topping the bar. Like, there's more to intelligence. But in
Oh
fairness, like,
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh.
like, in fairness, okay pala, not bad, di ba? And then kay Tolentino, di ba, tatlong masters of law nito, parang ganyan lang. Like, they cannot even articulate the basic things, but whatever. And then cheese being cheese. Like, saying everything and saying nothing. Galing ni Cheese, no? I mean, he's may pagka Donald Trump siya in the sense that, maybe it happens, maybe not. Anything could
Hmm.
happen, maybe both, like, and then he gets away with it, right? Like, and then you're like confused. So is he saying or not saying? May
Ano
pagka
ba
double
talaga ang
speak.
ibig sabihin ng umiikot? Ito yung hindi dumidiretso. At pag hindi dumidiretso, hindi tayo pupunta dito, papunta doon. Nanggagaling tayo dito, pero bumabalik din naman tayo dito.
Good morning, good morning. We would have loved Ben Tulfo to be there to ask questions. In 20 years of my journalism, I've never seen yung
She,
equivocation.
she's talaga like even dati na ginagaya ko na parang he's really the master of tautology eh. 'Di ba? She is Mr. Tautology. He's a really weird political animal. Um, and you wanna like actually naisip ko lang kasi 'di ba the Escuderos and the Remullas, meron niyang parehong KBL tradition, 'di ba? Meron silang mga meron ang tatay nila mga KBL. So akala ng mga tao na ano yan parang Hydra yan na pag tinawag ng KBL, pag tinawag ng mga Marcos, lalabas yung original loyalties. And I think in the case of the Remullas that's been proven, 'di ba, na yung long-standing loyalty nila is there. When it comes to the Escuderos, hindi pala sila KBL Hydra. Iba pala ang laro dito. Hindi ko alam kung ano.
Nga like, ako for me, mas interesting pa yung may mga moments siya na gusto niya maging witty, tapos medyo sablay yung mga jokes niya.
Ah,
Bilisan mo
baduy
na
talaga
ako.
siya.
Yung
Baduy
mga
talaga.
like, ano yan? Like cringe, bro. Like, sobrang cringe. May mga moments na sobrang cringe talaga siya. Like, hindi niya na-level up yung mga jokes na. These are like 20 years ago jokes. But whatever. I want to end on this point, bro, kasi alam ko magla-lunch ka na soon. Let me ask, okay, this is a tough question also. Like, okay, with what the genuine opposition, let's just call them genuine opposition na lang, basically non-DDS opposition that won, what should be the next 2 or 3 years, what should the next 2 to 3 years look like? Anong dapat, anong gustong makita? Yun na lang. From all the things
Ah,
that went right and wrong in the past or recent memory.
ako, balik tayo dun sa, lagi kong tinatandaan, 'di ba? Yung 3 runs ni Risa Ontiveros. How did she finally get there? Yung talagang nag-double down on social services issue. Yung third run ni Risa Ontiveros, she became the healthcare candidate. To some extent, you see this also with Bam and Kiko. Bam became the education candidate. Kiko became the agricultural candidate. Notice, hindi yan anti-corruption, hindi yan walang korap, walang mahirap, hindi yan sa gobyernong tapat angat buhay lahat. Ang social protection. And I think Filipinos love social protection. Itong konsepto ng ayuda, sa tingin ko Pilipino hindi naman talaga nila gusto bailout. Gusto nila gobyerno na nagre-respond. They want a government that allows them to build up a dignified life for themselves. Right? And education is precisely that. Agricultural support is precisely that. Healthcare is precisely that. It's not the government saying, bibigyan ka namin pera, magiging okay, it's the government you these baseline opportunities so that you can grow as an individual and you can grow as a family. That is what social protection is. And I think every time minanalo na opposition candidate, hindi si Noynoy Aquino, after Gloria Arroyo, right, which was obviously an anti-corruption election because that was very of the times.
It was
But
so
every time
generic, so
may
generic.
senatorial na galing sa genuine opposition na nanalo, for me, ang key has been the social service measure. Kasi kunwari, like for example, pro Marcos ka, pro Duterte ka, maybe you don't like Risa's politics, but you know that she's a healthcare candidate, boboto mo pa rin eh. And I think that's also what happened with Kiko and Bam, like pro Duterte ka, alam mo pro Duterte yung mga yan. Pero si Bam, for example, played ball with Duterte in order to legislate um, important bills that allows for education for all. And so you see that these people are people who, yes, they have politics, but ultimately they're there in order to provide social services for you. And I think that is how you can get people from the Duterte camp, from the Marcos camp to vote for you. Go back to universal social protection as the key driver of opposition discourse. Andiyan na eh, kitang-kita na natin eh. Ikaw, bro.
No, no, that's basically I go back to Isaiah Berlin. No positive freedom, negative freedoms. I think if you look at anti-corruption, it's more of a negative thing, right?
Hmm.
Parang the absence of malversation, right? Instead of really offering something positive. So if BAM was
Ah,
healthcare and education, or actually in the case of Bongo, di ba, yung malasakit, that thing.
malasakit, oh.
Yeah. I mean, he's 47%, whatever, close to half of the, voters going for him. I don't think that was a Duterte base. I think that was just like people connecting with Bongo's message discipline and consistency on the issue of malasakit. And given how poor the healthcare system here in the Philippines is, and to be fair, marami talaga nag-benefit sa malasakit center. But nevertheless, ang point natin dito is we don't want personalized patrimony, 'di ba? Ang gusto natin sana institutionalized welfare at doon dapat papasok. That will be the differentiation point for
Yes.
progressive na hindi
Yeah.
ako dito para magbigay sa'yo para may utang lalaw ka sa akin. Andito ako para palakasin ko yung mga institusyon para ikaw, mga anak mo, lola mo, lahat kayo, hindi na kayo mag-alala and you don't have to be beholden to me. Wala kang exactly.
May iiwan tayo para sa iyo at para sa mga anak mo.
Yeah, that kind of positive message plus institution building. Yun yung difference natin eh. Because the populist, the right-wing populist like sila Digong, Bongo, ganun, meron din silang welfare eh. 'Di ba? But it's a personalized version of welfare. Doon tayo iba. Dapat,
Mm.
if you're true progressive, 'di ba? So I think yun yung kailangan natin i-build up in the coming years. This is the last part. And again, I know some people misunderstood these questions like, oh, are you pitting different people against each other? For the sake of argument, and I have this in my upcoming Journal of Democracy piece, no? My point is also very important na magkaroon tayo ng proper postmortem because we have to understand what is really working. Again, I think you're already onto something. And that's why I'm saying, like, if, for instance, if you're a BAM right now, you have a strong point to make. You say, I want more than 20 million votes by basically focusing on non-polarizing positive messaging, right? There are still conversations about Lenny being in the equations. And interestingly, the very people who are criticizing surveys, they want to also cite surveys to say, why not Lenny? Because she's doing better in the pre. But anyway, ang akin lang, that's a legitimate argument to make that BAM maybe has something to say about what should be the next phase. And just for transparency, I advise BAM to look at the case of Rahul Gandhi, for instance, in completely, revamping the image of the Gandhis as this supposed elitist, internationalist family into something visceral and understandable. And Rahul is doing fantastic. So kudos to you, Bam. I think you have done a great job of at least helping with the branding. Now Aquinos are a national force again, or at least.
That's a perfect analogy nga, no, bro.
Yeah, Rahul Gandhi.
As
I've been
perfect.
onto this for a
Yeah,
long time.
they are the Aquinos of
No, no,
India.
no. Aquinos are the Gandhis. No, no, no.
Uh,
They're the bigger ones. Let's just be. I think let's not get out of. The Gandhis are definitely the Aquinos of India. You're right in the sense that, di ba, sila yung bastion of liberal politics, but at the same time accused of being elitist, oligarchic, everything that went wrong. And then Modi is basically represents the DDS, the Duterte of India. So, but Rahul Gandhi went from a joke, right? I remember when I was every time I was in New Delhi from mid 2010s onwards. Ito si Rahul Gandhi, half Italian, playboy, Ferrari boy, ganyan, ganyan. Compare mo kay Modi, son of the soil, yung mga ganun. And then Rahul Gandhi, like completely, he stopped shaving, going clean shave, he put on beard, he went motorcycle, nag-reselling tour siya, pumunta siya sa mga, I watched his motorcycle diaries. Ang ganda, yung parang tarok style na, and he would go there and remind them, yes, alam ko, galit kayo sa family ko dahil nagkakulang kami, pero wag niyong kalimutan, yung lola ko na-assassinate, yung tatay ko, ganito, ganyan, yung sakripisyo namin. Hindi ko sinasabi yan para magkaroon kayo ng utang na loob. Sinasabi ko lang yan just to remind na kumpara kila Modi, we're not here for ourselves, our family. And it worked, it worked. He came off number two, and now he's seen as potentially favored to become the next Prime Minister of India. It was an incredible turn of events, yung rebranding. And speaking of troll armies, nothing beats Modi's team, like grabe sila. The DDS is so much
Grabe.
for them.
Grabe.
So anyway, going back to this, I also do not like this argument by certain quarters na premature daw yung sinabi ni Risa na bukas siya to be the standard bearer. Remember, she just said open siya sa idea. The same with that, it's not like Lenny said no, right? Lenny said, focus ko ngayon ng pagka mayor, but you never know, right? But so, ang point ko dito is, with Lenny, I think there's a lot of unfair questioning of her viability. Parang, wait lang, last time I checked, she won in 2016 and 2022. The two most difficult election cycles for
Do you
liberal.
mean Risa? You mean
Risa
Risa, not
Ontiveros.
Lenny? Ah, yeah, yeah. You
She
said
won
Lenny.
2016 and 2022,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
right?
Oh,
And 2025, Checky Bomb and 100% success rate. I mean, so I think there's this kind of a lingering stickiness to this idea that, si Riza, eto na talaga, or baka VP, hindi talaga siya. And then last time I checked, like, Lenny also had a journey, right? It's not like Lenny was like a straightforward symbol and icon that she eventually become. It was over time that she built that. And kudos to Bam, actually, as the campaign manager of Lenny, for building the image of
yeah.
Lenny as essentially the icon of hope and good governance and all. Why can't that be done in the case of Riza? It's not like Riza lacks computer games na nga siya saying eh. It's not like she lacks
Uh,
pop culture. It's not that she lacks charisma and she has all the elements. She's intelligent. So I just feel, yes, gets ko yung iba na feeling nila it should be Bam Lenny. I'm just gonna spell it out. But parang feeling ko masyadong dismissive naman yung iba kay Riza, when I think Riza has a case to make to at least say, bukas tayo. Now, logistics will come in. Should we have primaries, whatever? Unfortunately, wala naman tayong real parties. But you see, I don't see them as enemies. I don't even see them as rivals. I just see them as different faces of a genuine opposition that could bring about transformative change in 2028. So depending on what's your post-mortem analysis, like my analysis is this, yung ginawa nila Bam and to a lesser degree Kiko would work in a 2025 cycle but not in a 2028 cycle. Bakit kamo? Because in the 2025 cycle, it was about you only had to differentiate yourself from one of those two camps, and each of those camps will put you in their sample ballot. Because that's exactly what happened. I saw sample ballots
mm,
whereby 10 PDB Laban and then Bam Kiko because hindi naman BBM mga to. And then I saw sample ballots of Alianza basically and then Kiko and Bam. Hindi naman DDS mga.
mm.
So I think that was like a sui generis. You cannot do
Yeah,
that in
yeah.
2028. In
Mahirap.
2028, Sarah ka ba or you're okay with Sarah coming back or I don't know, Bongo or whatever or not? It's gonna be much more stark.
Oh.
In that
At saka
environment,
yun nga yung 2022, si Risa, nanalo siya at the height of unity team. Na sobrang laos, sobrang durog ng opposition, sobrang laos maging dilawan, sobrang laos maging pinklawan, nanalo siya. Dahil lang meron niya nga siyang social protection message. So hindi mo talaga pwedeng i-down si Risa. So I think like obvious naman yung bias. I think given the way you're talking, similar yung bias mo.
yeah.
Pro
Well, to
Risa
defend
ako.
myself, I'm just saying the bias is actually the field is not like fair. The field is unfair. The field is dismissive towards Risa. That's my
Ah,
problem. So
ah,
my bias is to at the very least balance the field. Like, why are you not willing to listen? I even had this episode with Cool Pals, right?
mm,
Sabi na, iba kasi yung charisma ni Lenny. Iba. Tapos sabi ko, do you remember si Miriam Defensor, God bless her soul, how she changed from like, ano to, di ba? And then suddenly she became self-deprecating. And then na-click siya. Di ba? Or even Nancy Binay.
mm,
She was like the most hated senatorial candidate in 2013. By 2019, she was like one of the most beloved because of ang successful yung rebranding niya. In addition to the fact na hindi siya nag-DDS noong 2019, kudos to her, di ba? So, I don't know, I just don't like this stickiness that like, hindi, hanggang dyan lang si Risa, Lenny lang dapat yung ganun. Like, why not? Let's have a proper
should
discussion.
explore, we should explore
Yun ang
everything.
sinasabi ko. Yun.
And because wala tayong primary sa Pilipinas dahil nga weak yung party structure and because the opposition is not, the genuine opposition is a kind of fuzzy category anyway, right? So wala naman talagang primaries. We should act discursively as if there's a primary. supporters articulate their best vision within this broader tent, and we all see collectively together kung sino yung magiging best standard bearer natin. Now, in any primary, of course, magkakaroon ng girian. I'm sure at one point, the supporters of Risa, the supporters of Bam, the supporters of Lenny, although feel ko yung itong mga to, hindi sila magigirian sila themselves. Pero yung mga supporters sila magigirian at one point. I think that's fine. I think this is a period of open debate, and we can treat each other not as enemies but as interlocutors as we hope to articulate the best vision for the opposition. And when it gets to the point, and hopefully it gets to a point when we settle on one candidate, dapat like at the end of a primary, we put all that aside and completely dedicate ourselves to our standard bearer. But that cannot happen unless meron tayong period wherein we let 100 flowers bloom. I personally, because I'm sobrang pro Risa, I'm going to articulate a vision for why I believe Risa is the best person to represent during this point. And my vision for that is because I think Risa is the only candidate in the opposition who has really just done more than just anti-corruption and kind of integrity politics, so to speak. She has articulated a vision for social protection, for redistribution, for aggressive change in Philippine society, which is what we need, right? In order to save ourselves from populism, we can't just go back to the situation of the country like it was before. Like we can't go back to the Aquino period. Why can't we go back to the Aquino period? Because the Aquino period is what led to Duterte. So if we just go back to that, babalik lang ng babalik, the wheel will not be shattered. We need to shatter the wheel. And we need to make sure that for the next 50 years, hindi makabalik yung populace. And that requires a fundamental rethinking of what it means to be a progressive in the Philippines, away from just anti-corruption. And I think among the candidates, Risa Ontiveros is the best position to do that, because for all of her life as an activist, she has had a vision of redistribution and not just kind of middle class reformist politics. She combines the best of middle class reformist politics with the best of socialist politics in the Philippines, and you get that kind of beautiful synthesis in Risa Ontiveros. I'm not saying hindi pwedeng makamit ni Leon or ni Bam, but I think yun yung pinaka-natural kay Risa. And if at the end of the day, Risa doesn't get the so-called nomination, she doesn't become our standard bearer. Maybe that's Bam, maybe that's Reni. My fervent hope is they take some of Risa with them, because that part of Risa is transcends Risa, of course. That part of Risa represents a genuine progressive politics in the Philippines that will not bring us back to the Aquino period, not bring us back to the Duterte period, but will bring us to a new horizon for progressive politics in our country.
Thank you for that, bro. I mean, since you threw the Maoist slogan, I'm gonna throw Rosa Luxemburg. The
Oh,
idea is that the revolution won't happen if you don't make the leap of faith,
oh.
basically, right? You cannot wait for that. You cannot wait for transformative change. You have to make that by making the leap, diba? And my point is, Perry Anderson had this very interesting term for Bolsonaro. He called it supine populism. Parang purong hanash, no substance. My way of reading reformism in the Philippines is supine liberalism, right? It's not that
Mm.
kind of
Nakahiga.
proactive. You know,
Nakahiga.
diba? It's supine. Like, okay, what has fundamental, and that's your
Nasa duyan, nagre-relax.
honestly. I mean, even Ronald Llamas, who worked in one of those reforms, I will attest to you, walang agenda for fundamental structural reform. It was really tinkering, diba? Which was great for the headlines for the Wall Street Journal, World Economic Forum, but obviously our people wanted more than that. Hence, where we are, Digong, Uniteam, God knows what else. But having said that, you're absolutely right. At the very least, Risa, who has won elections consistently and overseen a very successful opposition run as a de facto leader of the opposition, or anointed leader, whatever you want to say it, because then the baton was passed by Lenny. She has a case to make. So at least allow her to make that case. Kasi yun ang ayoko, bro. It's not only the supine liberalism part which worries me, it's also the shutting down of alternatives. I mean, some of the worst trolling I got is actually not from DDS side. It's from people who should have known better. And I
Yeah.
sense the moment they're threatened someone, with some political or I don't know, intellectual capital can make it, they immediately try to shut you down and say,
Yeah.
oh, masyado kayo nag-electioneering, maaga pa lang sinasabong niya yung mga, like, what kind of thinking is that, diba? And for me, no matter what happens in 2020, whether Riza runs, whether Riza doesn't run, whether Riza runs, wins or not, I look at the US, very different case. But there's Democratic Party before Bernie
Naunahan mo ako.
Sanders.
Naunahan mo ako. I was gonna
Well,
go there.
exactly. There's a Democratic Party before Bernie Sanders, and there's a Democratic Party after Bernie Sanders, or actually, still Bernie Sanders is in the mix, right? If not he himself, it could be AOC, someone like Bernie Sanders fundamentally changed the coordinates of debate in the
Yeah,
Democratic Party
yeah, yeah.
in the best way, so much so that Biden basically integrated a lot of the
Yes,
Biden
yes. And
the
that's what made
Bidenomics.
Biden effective
Yeah.
in 2020.
Oh, Biden did very
It's
good
so
things.
easy to shit on Biden
Unfortunately,
now,
yun
but
lang
the
hindi
fact is he beat
na-appreciate.
Trump in 2020.
Absolutely. Yeah, he beat Trump basically with incorporating the Bernie Bros,
Mm.
literally and
Mm.
figuratively, right? There was a joint commission, the Bernie Biden Commission. So what I'm saying is, it's not about winning only; it's about leveling up. Kung
Mm.
hanggang supine liberalism and supine authoritarianism or whatever, yan lang. Hindi na tayo magle-level up as a country, and we'll not level up if we're not willing to take our chances. And last time I checked, it's not like really plunge
Mm.
into a blind dive. Hello, as I said, nanalo 2016, nanalo 2022.
Yeah.
Overseen this huge success now. Maybe
Richard,
RK should
gusto
be
kong
RK.
tagalogin yung supine liberalism na yan. Gusto kong
Hanapin mo
tawagin
pare, hanapin mo ng magandang
liberalismo sa duyan.
medyo, sige lang. May naisip ako pero parang hindi yata pang
Liberalismo sa duyan or liberalismong dinuduyan. Ganyan, di ba? Nakahiga, nasa beach na sa Boracay. Di ba?
Oh
Exactly.
God, yeah.
Oh.
Si
But
Sir Ronald, tanungin din
I love
natin.
supine.
I'll ask Ronald, anong version niya ng Tagalog? Baka medyo
Oh.
kanto version
Mas
ng
kanto yung sa kanya. Okay.
oh, medyo alam mo
Si
na.
Ronald
Na
yan eh.
politically correct kasi kahapon pinahamak niya ako, X-Men kaagad yung opening line niya. Sabi ko, wag tayo mag-X-Men, okay? Let's just stick to ex-human rights, okay? Okay, bro. I'll keep it here before we make
Bro,
more.
may isang hirit
Please,
lang
please,
ako.
yeah, yeah, sige, sige, bro.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Just dun sa Bernie Sanders kasi gusto kong sabihin, yung mga
Oo nga
kaibigan.
pala.
Kasi ako, sinabi ko na, malinaw yung colors ko, Risa. And kasi akbayan member naman talaga ako, so obviously Risa. So, yung mga nasa BAM camp or yung mga mas nasa Lenny camp, please do not treat us like Bernie Sanders. Kasi kung manalo kayo, susuportahan talaga namin. I know I can't speak for Risa supporters, but I have a sense na most Risa supporters, pag hindi si Risa yung tumakbo, si Bam yung tumakbo, or si Lenny yung tumakbo, talagang ibubuhos namin yung suporta sa inyo. So don't treat us like Bernie Sanders. Ultimately, kakampi kami. Our goal is, well, number one, sana gusto namin yung kandidato namin. Pero kung hindi kandidato namin, ang goal namin is palakasin yung mga kandidato nyo using the message ng kandidato namin para ultimately mapalakas yung lipunan ng Pilipinas. And I think that was the Sanders message. And ginawang masyadong oppositional. Siyempre, meron tayong mga kandidato, pero hindi ibig sabihin no, na kasulungat yung kandidato namin ng kandidato nyo. Ultimately, we're seeking a synthesis, right? And the synthesis can be through our candidate. The synthesis can be through your candidate. What's more important to us is not the candidate. What's more important to us is the message.
Absolutely. Otherwise, gagawin sa inyo yung ginawa ng Bernie Bros na nagalit sila sa Democrat,
Oh,
nag-defect sa other side. In this
oh.
case, baka ang option is, I call it T2.
Hmm.
Torre Tulfo.
Oh my
That
God.
would be like, that would,
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I know it sounds
Oh
crazy, but if
my
you're
God.
BBM, right? If you're BBM and saying like, I need protection, I mean, he absolutely needs protection, right? He doesn't want a second exile. Like, maybe I need Torre pa rin in the mix, diba? Kasi
Hmm.
sakto si Torre bababa ng 2027. And then if surveys show Tulfo is still in the mix, Torre is there, why not put them together? Like, I could imagine, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but BBM supporting a T2, Torre,
Hmm.
Tulfo, I mean, you never know, right? You never
Yeah.
know. All right, on that note, before I
All
say
right.
something more, kasalanan mo, bro, you bring out the worst in me. No, I'm just
Ay,
kidding.
akala ko ba si Ronald yun, bro?
Na si Ronald, I bring out the best in him, pero the best is not good enough, right? Yun ang problema natin, kaya paulit-ulit eh. Di ba, ano yung sa neurosis, yung paulit-ulit mo gagawin yung isang bagay. Meron kaming ganun eh. Repetitive, neurosis. Thank you so much for
Thank
that
you.
fantastic discussion, brother. I'm glad that hindi natin sinobrahan yung Ben and Cheese kasi baka patuwa yung mga kaibigan natin. But again, just to be clear, this episode was made in partnership with Friedrich Ebert Stiftung Philippines. Thank you so much again sa lahat ng mga nakikinig sa atin. Again, I think I and Leloy are quite transparent about that, about our progressive, or at the very least, the progressive tinge of our interventions, if not genesis of our intervention. And we hope that at least in our own little way, we're contributing to a much more, I would say, you know, diverse and inclusive and ideologically coherent discussion about Philippine politics. On that note, maraming salamat. God bless. And Leloy Claudio, thank you so much for joining us, Professor, and looking forward
Sir.
to talk to you soon. God bless. Send my regards.